Hey everyone, you are listening to another episode of the All Things Private Practice Podcast. I'm your host, Patrick.Casale, joined today by Kasey Compton. She's an LPCC in Kentucky. She's a serial entrepreneur, group practice owner, author, coach, consultant, retreat host, all the things. We are going to talk a little bit about burnout today and diversifying income to try to prevent burnout. And I'm really happy to have you on here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I followed your journey on social media. I've never actually met you in person. I think we were both talking at the same time at the Not Your Typical Psychotherapy conference last year, and I've been really impressed by what you've created out there and your vision and your ability to just grow and just be vulnerable about the experiences too. I know you've been writing books and kind of highlighting like what it's been like for you. So burnout, why is that such a passion of yours, and how come we're talking about that so often in this field?
Yeah, great question. Um, I think, no offense to anyone, please, but if you are a therapist of any sort, you have to be just a little bit crazy, and not like a mental health crazy way, but like a overachieving type of crazy way. I really never met a practice owner that would call themselves an underachiever. And yeah. So I don't know if that is just part of how we grew up or part of something that's just within ourselves that we're trying to prove that we can do it and we can be independent and we can be, a business owner and self sufficient and all of those things. For me, I think that's really what it came down to. I didn't realize it when I started my first practice back in 2015 that I was entering into it with somewhat of a fear-based mindset in a lot of ways. And like I said, I didn't even know it. And so I think I went into it telling myself, whatever it takes, I'm going to do whatever it takes to make this work. And during that process and throughout the years that I've been going through this process, I've certainly been burnt out. There have certainly been days where I'm just like, I don't want to do this anymore. I quit. I tell them downstairs in my office all the time, like I quit. Um, Good luck, y'all. But no, I think burnout is just something that all therapists, all practice owners are going to endure. It's working so many different parts of our brain and testing our patience and our tolerance and all of these things all at the same time. And so I think it just happens a lot in this industry.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think there is this perfectionistic, overachieving part of a lot of people who are helpers, and they constantly are feeling like I'm not doing enough, I'm not showing up enough, I'm not doing the things the way I want to be, and that can really create a lot of internal frustration and comparison too. And the work we do is fucking hard, and that's just another layer to it on top of personality traits and our own stories that we've brought into this journey. So add in like entrepreneurial therapists who are not just saying I want to be a clinician, but I want to do A, B, and C, or I have all these other interests and these goals. And how do I bring them all together when I feel like I'm constantly exhausted? I'm constantly tired. I'm the person that's doing like the admin, the office work, the billing, all the things. I wear all the hats. And I know you have lots of different revenue streams going on. So how does that help with burnout to be able to, own the group practice, diversify the income, the books, the coaching, the pod, like everything you've got going on?
Yeah, it's definitely a lot. It's sometimes I still, think if I just slow down enough to think about what I'm doing, like I don't know if I would be doing some of it. Um, but before I answer that, you said something that I just wanted to mention quickly that I think is so relevant is that when talking about burnout, go back and I'm sure we're all different, but go back to the way that you were raised. And if you grew up anything like me, probably a lot of people, I didn't see my parents weren't entrepreneurs. I mean, my dad worked in a factory, my mom worked in a factory. My mom had always had 2 or 3 jobs. In my mind, that almost programmed me to believe that it had to hurt, like, working, and it had to be painful in some way. Like, I need to be exhausted to feel like I can stop.
Right.
And, um, sometimes it makes me wonder what I'm doing for my own children and how I'm passing that down, because they certainly see me work a lot, but they see me work differently than what I was used to seeing. And so I think a lot of it just has we carry these suitcases from our past full of all of these messages and things that we picked up along the way, and it comes out of us in over functioning. Um, which that's actually what I'm writing this next book about, is how we're constantly trying to do more to get more, the whole concept of more. And it really is, it doesn't work. Um, but talking about diversifying revenue. So I think most entrepreneurs are like little squirrels, you know. Um, we do something and then we get excited by the next thing. It's always like, what's next? What's the next thing? What's the next thing? And that's why we're entrepreneurs. You know, if we were just a business owner, then we would be happy with that one business and we would stay focused on that one business. But most of us are always looking at, like, oh, what if I did some consulting in addition? Or what if I did a podcast? Or, you know, I think that's our creative side coming out. And that's what makes it fun. And so for me, whenever I was considering that, I was looking at I kinda looked at it like this. My group practice was the foundation for me. So it was the thing that paid the bills. And I was able to streamline that practice and systemize that practice enough to where it didn't need my daily attention. And so it could essentially run without me. And so that is when I started looking at other, like, what else can I do with that time that I'm saving or that I'm not involved? And then came consulting. And so getting a little bit more into that field and saying, okay, how can I automate? How can I systemize some of these things so that I can do the next thing that I want? And so ultimately, you know, it becomes, you have a hub, maybe. I mean, you don't have to, but you have a hub that's kind of like your safety net. And then these other opportunities that are coming at you, then you can make a decision as to, well, how much of my time is this going to require? And what's the potential return on that investment of my time? Then you decide if it's worth it or not. And now, you know, I've done group practice, wrote one book. I'm getting ready to, my second one comes out in 2024. Um, have a commercial property company, have vacation rental in South Carolina, had a hair salon that I'm getting ready to convert to a restaurant. We have the consulting company, we have the membership community, and we have one podcast, we're getting ready to launch another one. So there's just a lot going on, but it doesn't necessarily feel like a lot going on because of the systems we have in place.
Wow. Congrats on all of that. That's amazing. How does
That
that
kind of
feel
made
to
me tired.
oh, wow, yeah, whenever I say all the things I'm doing, I'm always like, "Oh god, that just feels like a lot," but it's exciting too,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I don't think I'd have it any other way.
Mm-mm. No, I think it fulfilled a lot of needs that I have. Just keeping, I think I'm better all around if I have something that's pressuring me in some way. Oh, and I'm getting licensed, my real estate license. I'm right in the middle of that right now too. Yeah, I mean, because I thought, well, if I'm going to buy all this shit, then why don't I just get my license? That'll save me 6% whenever I go to sell. So I was just like, well, I might as well. Um, you know.
I like how you also left out that you have an upcoming, like, conference that you're hosting too.
Oh yeah,
Like
yeah.
that too.
Yeah, adding a we try to do, at least 2 events, like 2 bigger events a year, and so every year we do a Meet You in Kentucky, which is my favorite. I love it. It's my favorite conference. Of course, I'm biased because it's mine. But So much fun. And then, like I know you and all your buddies and everyone doing all of these cool retreats and like the Greek Isles and London. And I'm like, Ernesto, you suck if you're listening. Just like all these cool things. And I was talking to Emily downstairs who does marketing the other day, and I was like, forget it. I'm not competing with the retreats. We're going to do anti retreats. And so we we're hosting an anti retreat in July where people come and work their ass off for 2 days. Um, and we're only going to let them have just a little bit of fun, not much. We're just going to take them out one time and we're just going to torture everyone basically, but we're going to get a lot of stuff done. But yeah, we definitely have a big long list of to dos.
And I think you named it really perfectly. Like the systems matter because you
Hmm.
could have a big long list of to dos and all of these interests and all of these goals and aspirations. If you don't have the systems in place, it's so freaking chaotic. And I
Hmm.
think that also intensifies that feeling of burnout or that intensified feeling of comparison and insecurity when you're like, look at what everyone else is doing. Why can't I do anything? And I
Hmm.
know that's a real feeling for people where they're like, I can't even start my practice, let alone like host retreats, have a podcast, do coaching, do the thing. And in reality, it comes back down to like, what does the behind the scenes look like and how
Hmm.
chaotic of a process is it? And I mean, my own process is chaotic, but I have like systemized chaos and
Hmm.
structured chaos, which
Hmm.
is quite helpful. But like, I know for so many therapists, and you named this, circling back to like the stories, the suitcases that you said that we bring into this work. And if you're not working through that, if you're not unpacking that, if you're not learning to figure out how to manage that, it really takes a toll on your business. It really kind of starts steering the car, so to speak, and really doesn't allow you to have direction or clarity or any sort of consistency.
100%. Yeah. And also with that, I think it's just learning and discovering more about yourself and what contributes more to your personal burnout. So, you and I may have the same business, and the numbers and the financials and just all of the organizational things and the operational things, they might just completely suck the life out of you. But for me, I'll do that any day before I will have to like talk to the people and manage the people. Um, so recognizing like what your strengths are in that regard and what it is that energizes you versus what it is that sucks the life out of you, and then handing those off to other people. I mean, if you open the doors of my businesses, you would see a lot of people. And for me, I realized that I'm compromising some of that profit by having additional employees. But I also know that if I didn't have people to delegate little tasks to, like picking my dog up from the vet and, picking up this or doing that or taking my kid who's going to the dentist right now during this podcast, I would not be able to do these things. And so for me, it's a trade off, and I'm willing to pay a little bit more money in revenue to have more time to be able to do other things. So like you said, I mean, it really does. There's so many factors that play a part in burnout, and the only reason that I can keep my sanity is because I have people that I can delegate the things that I really don't wanna do to.
That is such an important part of this. Of even if it's just your private practice, you're on your own. Like if you can delegate the admin tasks that you hate doing or
Mhm,
that you don't want to learn how to do, so important. It buys you that time. And I think time for entrepreneurs is the most valuable asset that we have because it's the one that we don't get back. And I think we're so intentional about like, okay, I need to figure out how I'm going to use this time to create this thing or to give myself breathing room or to enjoy the fruits of my labor, which we don't often do if we're just bouncing from thing to thing to thing too. But the reality is outsourcing is crucial in terms of how to manage burnout. Having a good support staff. I think you just mentioned like understanding your strengths and what you enjoy doing. because it's very easy to say, I'm good at something, so I should continue doing it. But if you're not enjoying it, if it's not lighting you up, it's probably time to figure out how you can hire someone to handle that for you.
Absolutely, yeah. That's exactly it. It's not even that you're not good at it, like you said, you just don't enjoy it. I love numbers. I could look at profit and loss statements all day long, but if I had to, I would really lose interest at some point, obviously, but also I think as the practice, depending on what type of practice you have, you need some kind of separation. You need to be able to pull yourself out of your situation enough to have a different perspective on it as a whole, as a business, and not just from you being in there working in the business. I think it's important to be able to pull yourself out. And pulling yourself out of it also helps reduce burnout because it's not dependent. It's not like a little baby toddler that's chasing after you all the time. You know, you can hand it over to someone else to babysit for just a little while.
Yeah, I think delegation is important. I think being able to look at your business with a different lens is important instead of always being in the business, being able to work on the business outside of the business with a different perspective. It allows you to have clarity too. And like, if you're just head down, like going through the motions, doing thing after thing after thing without a plan, without structure, without intention, it feels like, it feels like a whirlwind. It feels so chaotic, and it starts to mess with your executive functioning too when you're like, I can't even think straight, like I can't even make good rational decisions about what comes next or what my plan is for this year. And I think a lot of solo practitioners can struggle with this because you're kind of on an island a lot of the time where you're like pretty isolated and you don't have teammates. So the ability to like surround yourself with colleagues and mentors and support systems are so important in this, so that you have a place to bounce ideas, have a place to process stuff that's coming up for you. You have a place when you're like, I have this idea, but it's creating major imposter syndrome and I don't think I'm going to move forward with it. These are really important tools to have so that you don't have to keep yourself small and keep yourself hidden and kind of stay in that debilitating, paralyzing, fearful place too.
Mhm. Yeah, I love that. That's the one thing I really love about this industry, this mental health industry, is that the community that so many of you have cultivated through conferences and podcasts and meetups and all of those things. I just feel blessed to be a part of it because I've done this private practice thing without the support of a community, and the me now versus the me then, there's just it's night and day. And even to this day, what is it? I don't know, 8 years after I started this whole private practice thing, my best friends in the world, like if I was dying or in jail and needed whatever, they came from this community. These aren't necessarily people I went to high school with or anything like that. Like they all came from this online community that I can just not thank enough for the support that it's given me over the years. So absolutely, you have to get involved, even if you're an introvert, even if it makes you nervous. Most of us are. That's really shocking. You get us all in a room and we all are, most of us are looking like really awkward until maybe we've had a glass of wine or two or bourbon. I don't know. But um, everybody just, it feels like home and it feels really, really nice. So I would 100% encourage that, exactly what you just said.
Yeah. And I think, for those of you listening, if you're like, I'm introverted, how do I find that community? You're not alone in that. I think we often internalize that a lot of the time as if we're the only person who feels socially awkward or introverted or whatever the case may be. But this profession attracts a lot of like and similarly minded human beings. So you are certainly not alone. You're certainly not the only one experiencing imposter syndrome or self doubt. None of these things are just an isolated situation. Um, you know, for me, and I imagine for you, I don't know about your story in terms of private practice startup, but when you started your private practice from then to now, do you ever foresee like all of the things that you listed that you're doing? Do you ever think like back to 8 years ago and say, holy shit, this has been an incredible journey?
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so I mentioned earlier that I'm writing a second book. Well, when I started writing that second book, it was immediately after the first book. So I literally turned the manuscript in on Fix This Next and started writing the second one. Well, the second one was supposed to be about systems, like creating systems and all of that stuff. Well, the more I kept writing it, the more a totally different book came out of it. It was like it was having an identity crisis or something. It didn't like, I don't know. It was like something in me did not want to talk about systems. Like it wanted to talk about all of the other stuff. And so it ended up being more about how we're always like searching for something. Like seems like we're always looking for something to fulfill us. And so in that process, I had to go back and I'd teach the readers how to do what I did, which was create a timeline, basically like a big long fence of their life. And so I had to go back and do my own. And I was like looking at it and I was like, oh my gosh, like I was so jacked up. Like what was going on before all of this private practice stuff? And it was, highs, lows, highs, lows, highs, lows. And then private practice started and it just wherever I was, which was like at the lowest of the possible low at that point, and and everything just kind of started going up. It was just started looking up, looking better. And did I ever think that I would be doing all of the things that I'm doing now? No. I was just trying to get myself out of bankruptcy and that's it, really, just take care of my kid and my family. But I'm just very ambitious. And so I think it was like, let's do this. And once I did that, I was ready to okay, what can I do now? And if anything, what happened because of private practice is that I was able to gain confidence that I did not have before. And not just about being a business owner, but confidence in being a female business owner, a female entrepreneur, all of those things that I wouldn't go to chamber meetings. I wouldn't go to any of those good old boy, community events because I was like, they're not going to take me seriously. All of those things I really shied away from. And so I think private practice just gave me so many opportunities and it was such a stepping stone to all of the other shiny objects that I've been after.
I love that. Yeah, I think that's a great reflection and a great testament too for those of you listening who might just be starting out or, in it but not really sure of what happens next. And I can certainly relate. Like when I left community mental health to start my practice, I just wanted to start my practice. Like I just wanted to get the fuck out of there.
Hmm.
I thought that was the finish line, but I'm very entrepreneurial and ambitious. And I'm also one of those people that once you've kind of quote unquote conquered something, then it's like, all right, well, this is no longer bringing me joy or satisfaction. What comes next? And there's a lot of us like that, evidenced by a lot of similar circles that a lot of entrepreneurial therapists are in. And I think it's just really a cool way to showcase that this profession does not have to look one certain way and that our
Hmm.
skill sets are so applicable in so many different arenas. And you can just get out of your own way
Hmm.
and just start to have some sort of clarity and creative vision. It's amazing. Like, I'm going to host my second annual retreat next week in Ireland. And there's never a part of me in my life where I was like, I'm going to get paid to take people
Yeah.
to Ireland. So it just
Hmm.
feels surreal and exciting to see what comes next. And I think you've really offered a lot of great insight into what that can look like, as someone who has so much going on and has been able to really master a way of finding out how to not overdo it, how to not overwork to a place where you're not functional. You can still show up for your family. You can still enjoy what you're doing. And I think that's what this is all about.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. I mean, if we are sacrificing our health or our sanity or anything beyond what's necessary for this private practice, it no longer becomes fulfilling. It no longer becomes purposeful. And so I think it's good, if nothing else, to have a community of people that can help keep you in check in that way and make sure that you're working toward joy as well and not just toward revenue goals.
That's so important because you can chase the money, you can chase the shiny object all day, you can fall into the comparison traps. But if it's not bringing you joy and satisfaction, then it's just going to lead to more burnout and then more frustration and resentment and probably wanting to leave this career path and figure out something different.
Yeah.
So I encourage everyone to stay rooted and centered and anchored in your values, what you find to be important, what lights you up. That stuff is going to change over time. Whatever you decide that you're passionate about today doesn't have to be what you're passionate about a year from now, 6 months from now, 3 months from now. It's going to change. And just ride the wave. It's a really enjoyable experience. And there are definitely days where you want to pull your hair out and burn it all to the ground, which I often experience. And my admin staff help me with that sometimes. But I wouldn't trade it for the world. And I say that my worst day as an entrepreneur is a million times better than my best day at my community mental health job. And I would never trade it for anything.
Same, same. Can't say anything any better. Yeah.
Well, Kasey, it was a pleasure having you on here and just meeting you like this as well. And good luck with everything you've got going on. And just tell the audience where they can find that information because I'm sure they're going to want to hear more of it.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I love talking about this and helping therapists just stay on the right path. It's so important. We're pretty active on all social medias, but if you just hop on to the website, it's just my name, KaseyCompton.com. We have links to all of our social channels and everything we have going on and all the good stuff. So find us there.
And when is your conference coming up? When is that?
Oh, yeah. That is the third week of May. So I think it's May 24th and 25th, right
Cool.
around the Derby time.
Love it. Well, have a great time and I look forward to connecting in the future. To everyone who's listening to the All Things Private Practice podcast, there are new episodes out every single Sunday on all major platforms. Like, download, subscribe, and share. Doubt yourself, do it anyway. We'll see you next week. Thanks, everyone.